All right, 13 minutes gone past the hour of 5. I want to welcome you to another conversation on hard facts as we push the conversation for development. Good afternoon to you, and it's always a pleasure having you on the other side of the radio. Welcome. Remember, you can watch us live on Facebook, Nigeria Info PH. You could also watch us live on YouTube, Nigeria Info PH, and we're very much active in X, Nigeria Info PH. All right. That being said, we want to navigate through the current state of the economy, the Nigerian economy. However, we want to look at it from a different perspective, unlike what we would usually do when we have economic conversations. So today, I think we've done that once before. We want to do it again. Today, we want to look at the impact of the economy on the mental health of Nigerians. Recently, we saw a little increase yet again for the umpteenth time in inflation. That's for the month of May, somewhere almost 34, almost is it 34? Yeah, almost 34% now. Some experts have said that by December it may get to 40%, even though the government is very sure that inflation would decline before December. We've also seen, several other aspects of the what do you call it now? The economy go in the negative direction. But the most important thing about inflation in Nigeria is that we've seen food inflation also go very high, and it means that the average man may not be able to afford the things he usually would be able to afford. And it's not because he has become lazy, but it's because things have become more expensive. We've also seen transportation, when we talk inflation, go high and become so expensive. The businesses are now finding it difficult to move goods and services from point A to point B. Also, the value of the naira, and you work, you earn, but the value is just something else these days. All of these things are affecting the mental health of Nigerians, from the elderly to those in the middle age category, to those who are teenagers, and to those who are children as well. So I've decided to bring an expert. I've decided to bring I've decided to bring someone who can help navigate this conversation. She is a life coach, certified, a practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. She will explain all of that to you. She's a cognitive behavioral therapist, emotional freedom technique expert, and matrix reimprinting. She goes by the name Eka Bassi. Can you hear me, Madam Eka Bassi? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, I think we may be having some network issues. Can you hear me, Eka Bassi?
Hello, Canada.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm wondering if you
Yeah,
can.
you need to speak up a little bit because the I can barely hear you.
Oh, but you can hear me now, right?
Yeah, fantastic. I can hear you now.
All right then. Okay. Welcome on the show. It's good to have you. So
Thank you very much.
I was just talking about how the economy is on the wrong side for many Nigerians, and how it is a difficulty for them to survive. And I'm wondering, how is this affecting the mental health of a typical Nigerian, an ordinary Nigerian? I mean, looking at the economy, because someone is saying, I'm a Nigerian, I'm African, I'm strong. We know how to bend and we know how to maneuver. If you push us to the wall, we will break the wall and we'll continue. I don't know if you've heard statements like that. So I'm really wondering, what kind of impact do you think, as an expert in this field, what kind of impact do you think this is having on an average Nigerian?
All right. Thank you, Kalada, again. Before I go into your answering the question, I'd like to just extend my heartfelt appreciation to everyone that is trying to navigate these challenging times and just showing up every day for themselves, their families, and their friends. It's really not easy. And some of the emotions that they experience are, most of them are overwhelmed, or most of us, because we are all in this together.
Okay.
We are overwhelmed, we are anxious, we are stressed. And all this is a way of emotional dysregulation. And when you're emotionally dysregulated, you can't be rational in your decision making. And the more stress, the longer you are in a state of stress, it's definitely going to impact the way you feel about yourself, because during stress, cortisol is released into your body, which is a hormone that kind of truncates your immune system and other things in the body. So it will affect the way you feel about yourself. It will affect the way you react with or you respond to your family members. It's going to affect the way you see life. You start seeing things like self-doubt, and definitely when your mental health is in place, it's going to affect your physical health.
And when you say affect,
as a matter of fact,
when you say affect
sorry,
physical health, in what way is it going to affect physical health?
So you're under stress, and before you know it, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling anxiety and all that. And before you know it, you are also experiencing heart palpitation. People are having high blood pressure. People are nervous. People are feeling not in sync with who they're supposed to be. So you can't even make a decision at that point in time. You can't even be productive at work when you are not emotionally stable. Because when you're experiencing all those things, there's something called emotional instability. You're dysregulated, right? And that means you cannot make any tangible or rational decision. And human beings were created to be in a state of equilibrium where we can manage things, manage challenges. But when it gets to a point where you feel that you're out of control, or you don't even have control over the situation, you cannot see any hope out of where you are, then it becomes a problem.
Akabasi now, yeah. So looking at Nigeria's economy, right, where someone wants to go get tomatoes to make stew, and the person cannot afford it, and the person has got children at home waiting. It could be a man, it could be a woman. If it's a man, he has his wife waiting. If it's a woman, the husband is expecting that there'll be food in the pot by the time he gets home. How can we navigate all of these things? Because it's a gloomy picture you've painted. You say when we're stressed, we don't feel good about ourselves. That's from the emotional angle. There's also the physical angle where our health deteriorates. So how then do we navigate these waters? How then do we make what kind of moves can we make to be able to survive these times?
Okay, so you talked about tomatoes and using tomatoes to make stew. How do we make, because the prices of these things have gone up. I recently stumbled into it on a video that a caterer used cucumber to make the cucumber pulp to make stew. So what she did was that she bought cucumber 1,200 and made stew and made a pot of stew. If she was going to use tomatoes, she probably would have bought 9,000 naira, which is like the bucket size tomatoes, and she was able to make stew. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to come to a place where we are seeking alternatives. What can I do with what I have now? We need to start having those conversations. What can I do with what I have now? And one of the suggestions is what I just said. And, when I spoke to a couple of people, they're like, oh, we're already doing that. So we need to seek alternative. However, before we get to alternative, we need to understand how we are feeling. I talked about stress. Stress does not let you think rationally. So you need to get yourself from an unresourceful state, which is a state of I'm feeling helpless, I don't know what to do. We need to move ourselves from that state of helplessness to a more resourceful state where we can start thinking, okay, this is where we are. This is how the economy is. But what can I do to move out from or to make the best of what I have now?
Okay.
So, like what I'm trying to say is that we need to start seeking alternative.
Mm. But when you say seek alternatives, a lot of Nigerians already stretched to their limits. Even the alternatives are not affordable. You've talked about making alternatives for a stew, but how many people can afford it? These are some of the things, because the price I'm looking for. We do have a pricing list for some of the essential items. A lot of these things have become to. I mean, when you make stew or with cucumbers, what about
Mm.
rice? How expensive is rice? When you talk about alternative, what can be the alternative to rice? What is the alternative to gari, for instance? So these are some of the issues. Have you seen what is size of what we call fufu is right now? So Nigerians are wondering, when you say alternatives, what kind of alternatives, and how can they afford the alternatives? I guess this is the question a lot of people are trying to ask.
Okay, one of the things I've seen a couple of people do, even the clients that I work with, is bulk buying. I see people come together and buy things in bulk from local farmers, which is cheaper, and then they share it amongst themselves. Then I've also seen, I think last week I was talking to a friend, and the person said, oh, he had to go back home to start farming. He has a plot of land at home, and that they have to put that to use. That land has been sitting down fallow. So people are planting like things like water leaf, vegetables, the basic things,
Sorry,
pepper.
I would have to pause you. We do have a commercial. I'm really sorry, but do stay on the line. I'll be right
All right.
back.
Nigeria Info.
All right, we are back. 27 minutes to the top of the hour, or less than that. We're still looking and navigating the troubled Nigerian economy, and of course, I'm speaking with Eka Bassi, who is very good with. I mean, she's got all these things she's an expert in, but let's just go with the psychologist. I mean, that's the way to summarize it, I guess. Welcome back, Eka. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Kalada. I'm here.
All right then. So before we went for break, you were saying, we need to seek alternatives, and it's good, because that's the best way to navigate it. But then again, the question I was trying to pose at you still remains. I mean, can Nigerians still afford the alternatives? What is the alternative for an expensive transportation system? What is the alternative for a bag of rice, or even if it's a cup of rice? What is the alternative? Because these things have become very expensive. Noodles have become expensive. Noodles that would sell for what, if 150 naira is now selling double or triple the price. So all of these things would be put into, of course, the value of the naira is also very poor. So I mean, what kind of alternatives are we seeking?
Okay, so I'm going to kind of digress from that from the question a bit, because for us human beings, we are prone to looking at, that's the way we are made. We are prone to looking at focusing on the negative more than the solution.
Okay.
Because it's easy for us. We want the quick fix and all that. I don't know how we can change things and have everything that we need right now. But I think the question for us now is, how can we thrive even in these trying times? And that means that it is possible that we might never get back to where we used to be, but it is also possible that we can, this struggle or where we are right now, we can find solution, we can see opportunities, we can create opportunities. I always use this ideology that there is always two sides to the coin. That means that if there are problems, there are also solutions. But if I focus on the problem, I can never see the solution because I can only see one side of the coin. So it's very important that we start looking at recognizing that this is our present reality. Things are hard. Things are bad. But what is the solution? Because that is the way forward. How can I get better? How can I improve? How can I get alternative for my children's education? How can I get alternative for my lifestyle? What else do I need to do better? We can't keep sitting down and hoping that it will be like it used to be. It might not be business as usual anymore. It might be that we need to think out of the box. It might be that people, instead of going to universities, might have to do online courses to improve their employability. There are different things, but we need to shift our mindset from that place of it's bad. We need to shift it to, we know it's bad. We are not denying it, but how can we do better? Because if we keep staying in that place, we can never see anything good coming out from, what we focus on is what we become. It's scientifically proven. If I focus on the negative, all I'm going to see, my thoughts is going to be negative. The way I feel would be negative. My actions are also, my behaviors are also going to be negative. So as a therapist or a life coach, what I want to focus on, what can I do now? Fine, I might not be able to afford maybe a farm. Maybe I can find somebody. If I'm looking for solution, I can find somebody that has a land, and maybe the person doesn't have money to buy the cassava stem to plant cassava. I can contribute. It's a time that we have to come together as a community. I have to say, oh, Kalada, what do you have? What can you bring so that we can do something together to improve maybe our feeding, to improve something? We can't stay on our own to do it.
But
for you to get alternative, you need to go out there and find the alternative. That means I have to collaborate with other people. I have to speak up more than before. Because one thing about us is that we are very resilient. Nigerians are resilient, fantastic. But I think we pride ourselves in our resilience and we die in silence. So there's no time to be silent anymore. You need to speak up and say what you have to the next person, your family members. This is what we have. We need to have honest conversation in our families. My wife, this is what I have. My children, this is what I have. Everybody would pitch in with their idea and we can move forward. But that can only happen when we move our mind from the problem that we don't have control over to the solution that we might have a little bit of control over, because human beings need to have control. And when we start having control over our lives, we start having hope. And with hope comes more opportunities. You can see things. Sometimes the opportunities are right in front of your face, but because you're not focusing on it, because you're looking at the problem, then you cannot see the opportunities. Okay. That's what I think.
All right.
I think we need to.
Let me pause you for a bit now, yeah?
Okay.
Looking at the situation, if Nigerians just stay idle and wait for things to get back to the way they used to be, because you've painted a picture that it's a probability, but let's say Nigerians are waiting, what will be the impact or the effect on the Nigerian society? Let's say the stress continues to compound, Nigerians continue to feel the impact. How does this collective stress now affect the Nigerian society?
Kalada, please, could you take that question again?
I was asking, how does the stress, the collective stress compound, how does it affect or impact the Nigerian society? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay.
So how does the collective stress affect us
as a people? Because you've just said that we should come and collaborate. There should be some kind of collaboration. I would touch on that in a minute, but I want to know collectively. I'm stressed, you're stressed, the next person is stressed, and given what you've said, it affects our emotions, it affects our physical health. I'm just wondering what really the collective impact would be, given the current economic situation.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think we could just continue getting sick. I want to use that word, sick, because things just keep getting bad. When I am not feeling well, you're not feeling well, this person is not feeling well, because when we are stressed, automatically we are not functioning in the capacity that we're supposed to function. And if all of us are in that sphere, then definitely what is going to happen is that we'll keep breaking down. Nothing is ever going to get better, and I think another thing is also the way we talk, the things we say about Nigeria. And that comes from that same collective, because you can hardly see somebody say something positive about Nigeria. So if all of us are feeling this stress and saying the same negative things, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I keep saying these negative things about Nigeria, and that's all I'm experiencing.
Okay.
Because our words.
Go ahead. Our words.
Because the words that we speak comes from our internal, our mind, our mental, cognitive function, which is our mental state, the way we think, the way we feel, and then we start talking. Our behavior stems from our talk. Our decision making stems from that. So yes, that would affect us as a community, and nothing is going to change. With a collective stress, then we are just going to keep going, getting worse by the day.
All right. So quickly, because our time is almost up. You talked about collaboration. I was wondering how collaboration is possible in a country where we are divided on several fronts: ethnic divide, religious divide, political divide. I mean, look at River State. We've been dealing with politics for the past many months now. So how is a collaboration possible? For instance, if the governor or a government decides to say, let's roll out or reel out baskets of tomatoes, it will possibly be politicized. So the question then is, how do we bring about a collaboration? Quickly, please.
So I think it starts with the family unit. The father, the mother, the children. That's where we should start with the collaboration. And then your neighbors. So when I'm not talking about God. Like I said, we need to focus on what we can control. I can talk to my neighbor. I can talk to my colleagues in the office and see how we can come together and do carpooling so that we can conserve fuel. That's collaboration, right? I live in an estate. I can come together and find out a group of women that are ready to buy things in bulk, and we can buy things in bulk and share. That's collaboration. If I do that, you do it in your end, 100 of us do it, there's going to be a positive impact. We might not feel it in the capacity that we want to, but our words will change. What we say will change. The energy will change, because what we say and we think and we feel is about the energy, the aura that we carry. I don't want to go to that place, but things will change. The energy in Nigeria, it feels toxic. But if everybody is trying to do the little they can do, the energy, there can be a shift.
Okay. Right? I've got to go. We've got another commercial, but Ekabasi, thank you very much. I hope we can have a robust,
thank you for
a better
having me,
conversation.
Kalada.
Yeah, next time. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. All right. To you listening, I'll be right back and we'll look at it. She said a couple of things. We'll touch on all of those things, but for now, do stay tuned.